Hey guys, Dry Socket here, and today we're going to take a look at movement in Cowboy Action. Cowboy Action, it's action, right? We don't just shoot our guns from a stationary position. We do a lot of movement, and movement is an area that can slow you down a lot, or it can be an area where you pick up some time. More or less, when you get to a level, you're going to shoot at the same speed as everybody else, with a few exceptions. You know, there's some people that can, pop off all 10 in the 1873 in like 2 seconds, and you might not be able to get to that level. I'm still, trying to get into the 3 seconds myself there. But for the most part, there's going to be a quickness that you can shoot your guns that you're not going to be able to shave very much time off there. So really what you want to look at is areas where you can shave off some time in the transitions, in the way that you pick up, in the way that you get on target, and in the way that you move. And if you can do, 10 things that save a half second each, you've just shaved 5 seconds off your time, and that is a huge thing. So today we're going to take a look at movement when we're working with the pistols. We'll follow this up with movement with a rifle, movement with a shotgun. What this is not taking out the gun and then moving somewhere with it. This is how you move to a stage and then move to a shooting position and get your gun out and on target so that you can fire without stopping, establishing a foot, drawing, and then finding your target. If you can pivot and do all that as one motion, you're going to be much quicker in your stages. Let's break it down. All right, to start, we're going to wear our double strong side holster. This is my Buscadero that I wear in B Western shooting. What's nice about this, and considering it's to start, is my draw is going to be similar, no matter which hand I do it on, whether I'm moving right or left. When we change to cross draw, we're going to have some circumstances that we're going to have to think about, especially in terms of breaking 170. Now, if I'm starting pistols, I always do the same thing. I'm going to draw my offhand first, and then I'm going to come in and I will draw my right hand, my dominant hand, to shoot, okay? One of the things that you want to think about is when that gun is empty, you can start your movement as you're putting the gun away. You just have to make sure that you're not breaking 170 before you put the gun in, okay? So that's an important consideration when you're moving. Now, if I'm moving to the right, okay, I'm coming in. If I have my body fully faced in one direction, I can't really draw either gun without, breaking the 170 there. So what I do is if I'm moving to the right, as my right foot hits where I'm going to shoot from, I turn my hips and draw, okay? I will also cock the hammer as I do this. I shoot, Classic Cowboy a fair bit. When I shoot Classic Cowboy, I have to do duelist anyway. So this is putting me in my duelist shooting position. If I'm not doing duelist, I hit that pivot, gun is coming out, and then I'm coming right in with my regular motion from there. Now, same thing. If I'm moving to the left, and when I shoot Classic Cowboy, I shoot double duelist, right? I'm gonna do the same thing. My left foot hits, I'm turning that hip, right? As that hip turns, I've got my hand on the gun and it's coming out, getting on target. And then if I'm doing, double duelist, I'll come in with the other, put both away as I'm moving to my next shooting position. If I'm shooting, a traditional style, same thing out, but I'm gonna grab the gun as I'm coming out, feeding it into my other hand here, then coming back in, putting it away. I've been wearing my other holster there, so haven't been as practiced putting those away. And that's something that you should also, practice doing, is drawing and putting your gun away without looking. That'll save you some time. Now, when you think about the rules of Cowboy Action, there's nothing that says you can't draw your gun whenever you want. It's just the movement conditions. We have to have our hammer down on a spent shell casing or an empty chamber. We start with it on an empty chamber. So if you were somewhere with a rifle, you put the rifle down. You could technically draw your gun and run it down to the next station. I have seen people do that rarely, but usually, you know, you run the risk of hitting that gun against something, dropping a loaded gun as a match DQ, and you don't want to risk that. But depending on how far away your next shooting position is, depends on how much you turn your body. If it's pretty far, I'm fully turning, right? So I'm not going to draw in this position. But if it's just a little bit over, if I'm moving from a window here to a window here, I might shuffle. And if I shuffle, there's no reason that I couldn't move. I just can't pull that hammer back until I'm planted in my shooting stance. So I'm at one window, I'm drawing, I'm coming out, and then I'm going ahead and I'm going to pull that hammer back to fire. So those are some ways that we can move doing that double strong side. You know, establishing the pivot as the hip turns to bring the gun out, right? That is one way. The other thing is drawing the gun, moving with it, not breaking 170, and shuffling over to our next shooting position. That is another way. Those things will save you time. It'll save you a lot of time, because if you're thinking of moving, stopping, drawing, aiming, firing, that's a lot. If you can make those as combined steps, right? I'll move this way, drawing the right gun. If you make that as a combined step, you're going to be able to get on target, get shots downrange faster, and that's going to make your stage times drop. Now, what's nice about this is I get to do my movement on either side with the same draw. If I'm wearing cross draw, which I often do, I've been wearing that more recently than this, it's a little different. Okay, and then gunfighter is also a little different. Let's look at the cross draw next, and then we'll finish out with drawing both guns at the same time. All right, got my cross draw rig on here. We'll take a look at this because it's going to change it a little bit. When we're wearing cross draw, we have to be extra cognizant of 170, because unlike my strong side that's going to come out pointing down range, my cross draw comes out probably shooting at the loading table. So what I have to do is I have to turn my hip so that I can pull that gun out here, put the gun away there to come out here. And that order is very important, because I can put away this gun into my cross draw as I pull my other gun. If I have my strong side out first, I can't really, do anything to get that other gun out quickly. I have to come here, then I have to go here. And that is going to be slow. So I want to avoid putting myself in a position where that could happen. So there's a couple ways that we want to think about things. One is, if we have shooter's choice in direction, always make it so you're moving to the right, or moving to your strong side holster. If you're left-handed, obviously that changes. And what that does is, if I am moving to the right towards my strong side, look what happens when I turn my body. This gun is now pointed down range, which means as I'm going, I can get the gun out, and then when I stop, I can come in and I can fire. That is going to be very, very fast, because I'm moving and I'm drawing the gun. Gun's already out before I even get to my last spot there. Unlike moving with it here, where I might whack it into something, so long as it's past me, don't be here or anything like that. We got to get it, further than any point of your body, but that's going to allow you to come in and shoot there before drawing, your other gun. So very, very useful. If I'm going the other way, okay, I still got to draw this cross draw first. So it puts me in an awkward position if I'm going. I would have to come, and if I'm going to pull this gun, turn my hips all the way back around, okay, to pull the gun. That's very, very awkward. So what I will do is, if I have to move to the left, I will come, and when I'm about one hop, one little shuffle away, I will hit here, and then I'll come out like that to finish my movement. That way I've got my hips in the right position. So right when I get to the edge of the shooting position, I square my shoulders, and then I shuffle over to get into my shooting position to finish out. Now, I have seen shooters actually pull their gun, we talked about this before, draw and run down with it so they don't run into that situation. Again, the risk of that is if you hit it, if you drop that gun, you know, it's a match DQ. So if you have the ability to move to your strong side, I recommend that because that's going to put you in a position where it's very easy to draw. If you don't have that, make sure that you're hitting square before you come in so you can draw there, and that will shave down your time quite a bit. We've talked about this before. If pistols are last, don't worry about getting this cross draw back in because you have to come in with your left hand as you're coming here. Sometimes we call that Santa Fe shuffle. I missed the holster there. Sometimes it's hard when you're looking in the video. Instead, if I come in here, I can take this gun just right on the table as I draw my other one. Very, very fast. So if pistols are last, you don't have to reholster into your holsters because you're not going to be moving. So that's a little gamer tip there. If pistols are in the middle or first, try to stage that if possible where you're moving to your strong side because that's going to allow that cross draw to come out. If you're have the ability, you know, to walk the stage, you know, beforehand, a lot of times what I do is I do my unloading table. I go and I put my guns out, and then I'll just kind of think that through. It's okay. It's like I'm starting rifle. I'm moving to my left. So what does that mean? That's going to be here, and I'm going to have this foot. When this foot hits, I'm squaring and I'm pulling my gun. You know, okay, I'm moving to the right. So I'm gonna make sure my foot hits right there, and when that hits, then I'm gonna, you know, pull the gun. That would be if I was double strong side. If I'm here, I'm pulling the gun. That's when I'm gonna come on and aim and put my other hand up there to work the hammer and things like that. So these are just some considerations about movement with the pistol that can ultimately shave, you know, maybe a second, maybe a half second off of your times, and you just want to break away from these very step-by-step, you know, I'm here, then I'm here, then I'm here, then I'm here, you know, and get more into this, like, you know, fluid, that's all one motion type of thing. Because the more fluid you can be, the quicker those stage times will get. Let's finish up. Let's look at gunfighter, because when you're pulling out two guns at once or putting away two guns at once, a few more things that we have to consider. All right, back to our Buscadero rig. Now, if you watched my gunfighter video where I shot gunfighter in my first match, you will notice that I am terrible at it. So I'm still practicing this a lot. Also, when I shot gunfighter, we started with pistols each and every time. So I haven't had a lot of practice in actual stages on drawing and holstering for gunfighter. But I do have a lot of experience with double duelist in classic cowboy. Now, with double duelist, I'm drawing one gun and then I'm drawing my other gun, okay? So what I do in this position now, it's just like gunfighter for putting away. I'm going to start moving. I take my lead off kind of step as I'm turning. When I take that lead off step, I find and place my guns in the holsters as I move to the next area. So that saves you some time, because if you're here and then going down, putting in those holsters and then moving, that's gonna be less fast than if I'm firing, turning, putting them in as I go, right? So we just have to be careful. Again, can't break 170, okay? I can't do this, right? I have to step out, in, turn, and go. Now, we can use sort of the reverse of that movement, thinking about how we were establishing our pivot foot. Just I have to let this gun come out as my hips turn, okay? So when I come out, it doesn't matter which direction I go, right? It might change which gun I feel comfortable firing first. I'll usually, whatever foot I stop with, I'm gonna fire that gun first, okay? And that'll be my first shot. So if I'm coming to the left here, I stop, and I'll probably, before I even get there, I've got my hands on my gun here, okay? So as I'm coming to the area, I'm not stopping and then grabbing my gun. I'm on the guns, stopping, and as my hips turn, bringing those out. Boom, boom, okay? So again, I'm coming in, I've got the hands on the gun, stop, and as the hips turn, bring those guns out. And I used my thumbs there to bring them out cocked, and then I'll get in my gunfighter rhythm from there, putting them away. If that's my last stage, I put them away just like so, or on the table. If it's not my last stage, right, I'm gonna turn, or I'm gonna shuffle out, but before I turn my hips, I'm getting those guns back into leather and then running off to my next position. And that is how we can save some time with the movement portion of gunfighter pistols. So there you guys have it, a look at movement in cowboy action shooting with the pistols. This will be something that if you can get good at this and visualize this, it will definitely shorten your stage times, and that's something that we're looking for. Again, dry fire practice is something that is really handy. And in these movement exercises, I'm actually using, this is a Denick replica single action revolver. So this is not a working firearm, but it has, all the componentry, it has a gate, it functions the same. It's just not actually a gun. So these are really handy for me when I just want to be practicing movement and motion and thinking through, because when I get to the stages, I'll map it out. I'll just be like, all right, my foot hits there, I'm gonna turn and I'm gonna pull that gun out. Then, I'm gonna do this, I think everything through. Now, I'll be fair. Sometimes that buzzer goes off and all that I forget goes out the window. But I try to really get in the mindset of what I want to do, and then go out there and I try to execute it. And if I mess it up, then it's back to the lab. It's back to here. It's kind of practicing those things like, how do I draw? Where do I go? How do I turn my hips? How do I get on target quickly there? Because if you can get your guns on target and that first shot off accurately, the faster you can do that, the better that you will be. And it's one of those things too. You want to get that practice and good. You want to get that first shot on target, because if you pull the trigger and you hear that nice ding, it's just replicate, for the rest of your shots there. If you pull the trigger the first time and you're off target, you then have to find your target. And I've definitely been in circumstances where I've missed my first target and then missed a lot more because it really threw me off. So, take as long as you need to get that first shot downrange onto the target accurately. But the faster you can do that, the faster that you are going to be. Well, come back, next week we'll take a look. We'll do the same thing with rifle. Again, we're not moving with the rifle necessarily, but we are talking about how to move to it, how to move away from it. Sometimes there are circumstances where you will actually carry it with you somewhere. So we'll look at all that, and then we'll finish up in a couple weeks with the shotgun before we move into another cowboy action skill. You guys have a good one. Get out there and shoot.